Have you ever had a guest come to your house and when they showed up, they had maybe something that they stopped at the store and bought, like a bottle of wine? Have you ever had a guest show up with something that they made? I'm sure that's a lot easier to recall. People used to make more stuff, and when they went to people's house, that's what they gave as a gift. There's a lot of thought and a time that goes into making something. And it's hard to put a price on something that somebody's made, even if it's something just as simple as a jar of pickles. Hello, everybody. I'm the Big Easy Chef. In this episode, I'll show you how I can bread and butter pickles. They come out sweet, they're crunchy, and they're easy to can. So if you're just getting started in the canning world, this is a perfect project to take on. Now, I'm going to be canning a pretty large batch, but I also have amounts for a smaller batch. You don't have to worry about trying to write down the recipe during the video, as it'll be posted at the end, along with complete instructions and a metric conversion chart, so you can kick back and enjoy the video. So let's see what's shaking and get to baking. Before you start handling any food, be sure to wash your hands. I don't think I can tell you enough how important it is to have clean hands when you handle food. And remember to keep all surfaces and utensils clean and sanitary. I start by rinsing the cucumbers. I'm using long English seedless cucumbers. I don't know about the seed-free part, but the seeds are small and I think they make the best pickles. You can use other types and they'll work just fine. If you grow cucumbers, that is even better, as you can pick them and you know just how fresh they are. I have 30 of these cucumbers, and it's going to take me a while to clean all of them. Now I have some sweet red bell peppers that I'm also going to wash. I have 10 peppers. Once you have cleaned the cucumbers and the sweet red peppers, it's time to start slicing them. I start with the cucumbers first. You can slice them by hand. For me, it's hard to keep the slices all the same size, so I do the big easy thing. I get out the food processor. I use the largest blade for slicing. The pickles come out great sliced thicker. The slices always don't come out perfect. Don't discard those pieces, as they'll still make a perfect pickle. And not all pickles are equal. Once you have all the cucumbers sliced, you can move on to the bell peppers. Clean the surface, knife, food processor after slicing the cucumbers, and start with the bell peppers. You can slice them by hand, but again, I prefer the food processor. I get the peppers ready by cutting and removing the seeds and the ribs and the stems on top. I put them in the food processor. You can see that the peppers came out nice and uniform. Now that you have the peppers all sliced, again, clean everything. I have 3 large sweet onions. I'm going to slice these the hard way by hand. After you have everything sliced, now it's time to put them into containers. Start by putting the sliced cucumbers in and then sprinkle canning salt on top of them. I have these large plastic containers. You could use a glass container. I wouldn't use metal. Make sure you use canning salt, as any other salt can discolor your pickles, and you for sure don't want a discolored pickle. You're not using the salt to season these. The salt is to pull out the moisture in the cucumbers to keep them nice and crunchy. Now add some ice on top of the cucumbers, just a little ice. It's going to help the salt get colder and draw out more of the moisture. Repeat this process until all of the cucumbers are in the containers. Now in a separate container, do the same with the sweet red bell pepper slices. Now repeat this process with the onion slices. I didn't mix the cucumbers with the peppers or onions, as I'm going to can some with just cucumbers in the jars, so I didn't want the flavor of the onions or the peppers in the cucumbers. I had enough room to combine the peppers and onions in the same container. Now it's time to let the salt and ice do its job. You can put the cucumbers, peppers, and onions in the fridge or in a cool place. They need to set for 18 to 24 hours. This is very important in keeping the pickles nice and crunchy, so do not leave this step out or try to rush it. It's been 24 hours. So now it's time to rinse the salt out of the cucumbers, peppers, and onions. This is why you are careful not to add too much salt. Make sure to give these a good rinse. Now it's time to get the syrup ready. In a very large pot, add 15 cups of sugar, 6 tablespoons of mustard seed, 4.5 tablespoons of celery, 4.5 teaspoons of turmeric, 9 cups of vinegar. I like to use the apple cider vinegar. Place this on the stove. Turn on the burner to medium to low heat. Allow this mixture to dissolve the sugar, making the syrup. Once the sugar is dissolved, then turn the heat down to low. Just keep the mixture warm. I'm using wide-mouth canning jars. I prefer these for pickles. You need to sterilize your jars. One way is to place them in a canning pot. Make sure there is a rack in the bottom of the pot. You don't want to set the jars in the bottom of the pot, as the metal is very thin and this could cause the jars to break. Place the jars in the pot and cover them with water. Bring to a boil. Boil for 10 minutes, then reduce down to a simmer, keeping the jars warm until you are ready to fill them with cucumbers, peppers, onions, and syrup. I'm taking the Big Easy Chef way out on this and putting the jars in the dishwasher. Also, I'm tossing in the rings. You need to put the lids in a pot of water. You can heat them just under boiling, around 180 degrees. You don't want to boil these lids as it could ruin the sealing gasket. You have to be careful. You can find complete safe handling for canning foods at usda.gov. Now you can start filling your jars. Start with some cucumbers and then add a layer of peppers and onions, filling the jar. Now add the syrup, leaving 1/2 headroom in the jars. You could use a funnel. However, these wide-mouthed jars are pretty easy to fill with a ladle. I'm also filling some jars with just cucumbers and syrup. Wipe the rim around the top of the jar. I find that using a clean paper towel works just fine. Now pick up a lid. I use the magnet tool as it helps the lid from becoming contaminated with anything. Set the lid on top of the jar. Use a ring to fasten the lid. Don't over tighten it. You just want the lid to be snug. If you put it on too tight, it could seal before it should. In your canning pot, place the jars in the pot. I was able to fit 8 pints in the pot and then lower them down into the water. Cover the pot and bring to a boil. Once the water is boiling, maintain the boil for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, remove the lid from the pot and lift out the jars. A jar lifter is a perfect tool for this task. Place them on a rack or towel in a nice draft-free place where they can set for 24 hours undisturbed. Set the jars so that they are not touching each other. If you look close, you can see that the lid is raised. It has a dimple that is pointing up. As the jar cools, that dimple is going to snap down. You'll hear a loud, sharp click as it snaps down. After 24 hours, check all of the lids to see that they have sealed. If you find one that hasn't sealed, you can remove the lid and clean the top. Use a new lid. Do not use the old lid, and repeat the processing. Or you can just open the pickles and enjoy them now. I ended up with 20 pints and 6 quarts. These pickles will keep for a year, but I don't think they'll last that long once you taste them and give some away. You can see these pickles came out perfect. They have a nice color to them. They're crunchy. They taste great. You have to wonder what these pickles are waiting for. A holiday meal? A hamburger? A turkey sandwich? A grilled cheese sandwich? Or maybe just some bread and butter. So there you have it. Now you know how to can bread and butter pickles. They're easy to can. I hope you'll can some soon. Remember what they say, you are what you eat, so eat healthy. Until next time, I'm the Big Easy Chef.